Hey y'all, I'm Attica Scott, former Kentucky State Representative.
They're asking me about everything, local, state, federal, all the time. How do I do this? How do I do that? Why can't I get a speed hump? What's going on with the consent decree? Hey y'all, welcome to Ask Attica. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Friday morning.
Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Ask Attica. I am delighted to bring you a very special guest today on my podcast, which focuses on civic life in Louisville and Kentucky. And, every now and then we'll touch on some things that are happening nationally. Thank you, as always, to our producer at Stay Live Streams. And of course, while this is a virtual pre-recorded podcast, I am at our usual location of Black Coffee in the Goodwill Opportunity Center. So today I want to welcome our guest, Sharon Murphy of Real Life Civics. Is someone I have known for a long time, y'all. And Sharon is dynamic, motivational, inspirational, is deeply rooted in government and politics, understands what's happening at the local and state and national levels. And so we're going to break down some of what's called her to do the work that she does in our Commonwealth. So welcome, Sharon.
Hello.
So my first question for you, Sharon, is what inspired you to start Real Life Civics?
I started Real Life Civics because I found myself having like the same conversation over and over again. And I was like, I can't replicate myself over and over. So it is a way for me to get this information out and just have it one stop shop. And also, too, at this time, Facebook, they were changing their algorithm and stuff because I used to post like stuff about election updates and everything on Facebook. And then other people have always said, like, why would you put your intellectual property on something that you don't own and on something that like you can't control? So I got the Lexington Grassroots Leadership Award in 2020. And God actually placed the idea for me to start a website in September of that year. And I was like, okay, how am I supposed to start this website? Because I don't have any money. Because, of course, with anything in America, everything costs money. So I was like, how am I going to do this? And then, literally, like 2 months later, I got the call that I was going to be an inaugural recipient. So I used that money to start my website. I think I spent all of 2020 and maybe 2021, like gathering research for it and everything. And it went live February the 24th, 2022. So it was just a way to get information out because civics is not something that's talked about anymore.
So thank you for sharing that origin story. And you just made a comment when you closed, which is civics is not talked about anymore. So I want to dig a little bit more into that because that's a passion area of mine, as I know it is for you. So can you share from your experience, Sharon, what you see, especially your experience as a voter empowerment organizer? What do you see as some of the biggest barriers to civic engagement in Kentucky?
I think the biggest barrier right now is it's not talked about, and then also too, like people don't understand the importance of it. And on top of that, people only think about the federal election. They don't think about state and local elections. And I tell people, actually, your state and local elections, they impact your life so much more than federal. And I always use the example of the Affordable Care Act. Like the Affordable Care Act was passed, I believe, in 2010, maybe 2012, but like people really didn't feel the impact of it until 2015. Well, here in Kentucky and Frankfurt, when they get finished with the legislative session, depending on if it's an odd or even year, come July, June of that year, that policy is being enacted. So, yeah, so it's just important.
Yes, and that's a good example because health is everything. And so having access is vital and it's necessary. So I appreciate you for that. So, yes, we need to get people more civically engaged. And I believe that what you have created with your platform is one way of doing that. So, before we take a break, can you talk about how we in Kentucky can do a better job of engaging young people in particular so that civic participation becomes a lifelong practice?
Oh yeah, that's the one of the main reasons why I do this work is because right now I'm 37 and I know that I'm not always going to be able to be around. Like eventually Lord willing, I live to be 66. I can't be the one screaming, yelling the bullhorn. So I think it's important that we pass down the knowledge, and the only way we can do that is we have to plant the seed now. Like yesterday, my niece, she's a junior at Henry Clay, and she spoke at our city council meeting about gun violence. So that was a proud moment because I used to take her everywhere with me when I first moved back home and started organizing. So just getting them involved and having them see that like this impacts you too, and what's going on now is going to impact you later on.
And that's so important to start when folks are young, because your example is why you now have this legacy that you're leaving behind, right? Because this is part of your legacy to have family members who are engaging in local government. So, hey, folks, as you're watching, pay attention. So, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with my very special guest, Sharon Murphy of Real Life Civics.
Healthy Beginnings Connect Us offers resources, classes, and more. Visit us at 1141 South 2nd Street or www.blackbirthjustice.org.
Hey, y'all, welcome back to this episode of Ask Attica, our podcast that focuses on civic engagement, government politics, etc. So our special guest today is Sharon Murphy of Real Life Civics, and Sharon is coming to us from Lexington, Kentucky, one of my favorite cities to visit in our Commonwealth. It's a foodie city, so if you enjoy food, go visit Lexington. All right, Sharon. So we've been talking about civic engagement, particularly across the Commonwealth and engaging young people and really engaging all of us. So let's forward, say, 5 years from now. What's the Kentucky that you hope to see when it comes to civic power and participation?
Civic power and participation. For one, I hope that more people vote. I know the number that strikes out very well to me is in 2015 when we had our gubernatorial election, only 31% of Kentuckians voted. And I'm like, that is absolutely sad. It was sad then, and then it's going to be even more sad now because I think the stuff and the policies that are coming out of Washington, I feel like states and local governments, they're going to have to provide some type of reprieve if anything goes awry. So I hope in this next gubernatorial election that more people get out and vote in 30%. I haven't been able to check the numbers here recently, but I just know that that stat just stuck out to me. I'm like 31%, like that's unacceptable. Like, and then even in our primaries, even and two, and people voting in primaries as well, because I think people don't realize how important primaries are. So I always say like primaries is really like if you really want your voice to be heard, like the primaries where you get to pick the candidate and just picking candidates in general. And I always tell people to research. So right now, my website, Real Life Civics, right now it has the people that are in Frankfurt right now. But at the end of this year, or run a break, I'll probably spend that flipping it because, of course, we have midterm elections next year. And also in Kentucky, all of our House members are up. So that means all 100 members and half of the Senate, which equates to about, I think it's 18 or maybe 19 senators are going to be up for re-election. So just participation in voting overall.
And I think often about everything you just said, and like people need to have a plan sometimes of how they are going to engage. So you talked about research and you do a wealth of research. It's clear by your website. So people do your research, register to vote, register other people to vote, create your plan of action. How are you going to engage? Are you going to show up at a school board meeting? Are you going to try to connect with civic groups across Kentucky to get to the state capitol when the legislative session begins? When it's time to vote, what's your plan to vote? Do you need childcare or elder care? Do you need to get on the bus? What's your plan? Do you need to get one of those? Sometimes they have the free Lyft rides to go to the polls. Like, what's that plan? And for civic organizations, hold yourselves accountable and make sure that at the end of any campaign or program that you assess, where did you do well and where could you do better? Because there's always room for growth, and that's part of what civic power builds is that growth. So You had me think about something, Sharon, that I want to dig into, which is the research. Can you unpack a little bit more for folks, and then we'll take a break after this, but unpack for folks what Real Life Civics, the website, does, what it offers, what it provides, and then how can people best use the site?
Yes. So real life civics, right now, I feel like I'm a firm believer in people don't know what they don't know until they find out. For an example, I live in Lexington Fed. So that means our county government is merged. So for the local part, like the physical court and the county commissioners and magistrates and everything, that section alone took me like 4 months to research because we have emerged. We have a city council. We don't have county government. It's all into one. So like I know Louisville has a metro government. So out of all the 120 counties in Kentucky, Lexington and Louisville operate differently. All the other 118 counties, you have your city government and you have your county government. And the example that I always use to explain that is Georgetown. So Georgetown is in Scott County, but within Scott County, you have the city of Georgetown. I think Wilmore falls into Georgetown, and I think it's like two. I think Stamping Ground falls in the area of Scott County. So it's just important that you know that. So as I just stated, right now, and it shows everyone that is in office. But I will flip that. So I will have all the federal candidates if they have a website that's running for office. I will have all the state candidates that are running for office. And then, of course, because I live in Lexington. So if you live in Lexington, you will get local government. I'm trying to currently get funds because I would like to pay someone to at least have like the top 10 cities in Kentucky at the local government, but I don't have funding right now. Real Life Civics is funded through me and my subscribers. And also, it's harder for me because I am not a nonprofit. I am a business, but I am a business because I enjoy having the freedom to say whatever it is that I want to say. Um, so I'll do that. I also send out a weekly email that I try to send out every week. I try to send Mondays, 9 to 5, and then I also have a personal life. So sometimes like I don't get the email out on Tuesday. But also too, I try to stay word to only send it out one email a week. So I know if there's like a big announcement coming up on Monday or if it's a story that I need to follow up, then sometimes too, I hold it off because I'm not the person that's going to share news the minute it hits. I know that sometimes things change over time. So I try to wait to get the most accurate information.
I
And I
feel
also
that
do
same.
trainings too. I also do trainings too as well. If you have an
Oh,
organization, I also do trainings as well.
oh, that's good to know. Okay, folks. So as you're tuning in, Real Life Civics, Sharon Murphy offers trainings as well. So, Sharon, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to wrap up. Got a couple more questions for you. And then I also want you to be sure to share how folks can get in touch with you. So we'll be right back with Sharon Murphy of Real Life Civics.
Through every note, every performance, the arts connect us. The arts connect us through joy and through awe, bridging cultures and generations. From intimate theaters to the grandest stages, the arts bring us together, reminding us that we're never truly alone. When we experience the arts, we experience each other. Kentucky Performing Arts. The arts connect us.
Hey, y'all, welcome back to Ask Attica with our special guest, Sharon Murphy of Real Life Civics. So, Sharon, as we close out, I have a question for you. The podcast is called Ask Attica. Do you have any questions that you would like to ask me?
Yes, my question for you is what keeps you motivated to do this work? I know I've been at this work before I knew I was before I knew what the term organizing was, I was always trying to encourage people and help them to get involved in politics and policy and everything because the political bug got me when I was like 7. So like I've just been obsessed with this forever, but in this current moment, especially as us being melanin women, because I don't like to use terms black and white, I'm going to use the true term as to what it is. It's melanin. So us as melanin women, we are under attack in this work. So, what gives you hope? I know for me, what gives me hope, as I said previously, is my nieces. I know that one day when I get old, they're going to come to me and they're going to ask me, like, Aunt Sharon, what did you do? What was your involvement in this? And I can't look at them and tell them that, like, I did nothing. I'm gonna be like, no, this is what I did. I did X, Y, Z. You know, you can do it too. So.
Yeah, such a good and important question. What keeps me motivated? Sitting here in Black Coffee in the Goodwill Opportunity Center, I'm looking at folks that I know and people whose stories I know, and that keeps me motivated because I want to make sure I'm doing everything that I can so that the graduates of the programs here, for example, are able to thrive. I want to make sure that the area that we're in, the neighborhoods that surround and are a part of the West End of Louisville, for example, are able to thrive. And, similar to me, to you, I think about the young people in my life, my children. I want to make sure that they're able to thrive. So that keeps me motivated. And people are so encouraging as well. I remind myself of that often, Sharon, that people are actually very encouraging. And so, walking in here and talking to folks and having people say, I appreciate your news in 60 or wow, thanks for the podcast. Like that keeps me going. So I appreciate the question. So as we wrap up, Sharon, I'd love for you to share with folks who would like more information about real life civics, how they can get in touch with you.
So yes, you can email me, Sharon at reallifecivics.com. That is SHARON at reallifecivics.com. I normally try to respond within a timely manner, but sometimes it may take me a little bit longer because I have a 9 to 5 because I'm still trying to build Real Life Civics up to what it is. And I mainly do all my work on Real Life Civics during the weekend. So yeah, but I'm around. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on social media because I'm not giving those platforms my intellectual property for free. So, yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sharon, for being with me today on my Ask Attica podcast. And of course, we will share a link to Real Life Civics, the website, so folks can be sure to follow, subscribe, and be in touch with you. Take care.
Hey, thank you for having me.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Why is everybody like? Why
Hey
is
y'all,
the
I'm
police
Attica
fighting
Scott,
against
former
us?
Kentucky State Representative, and you're joining me today on State Watchman.
We will continue to provide updates as we have more information.
Former Kentucky State Representative, and you're joining me today on State Watchman.